finished trip. Well, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So, tonight on the agenda is, what's the ordinance number?
67.
67, thank you. It's just the 2023 annual budget, annual appropriations ordinance. My memo states that I'm keeping revenue the same as what I'm projecting 2022 to end at. Dropping the JED income taxes by 150 to be a little more conservative because that's such a small sample. So from 600 to 150, 450, I mean. That's the only change in the revenue. You could, if we look to the 3-page spreadsheet with the pretty colors, yeah, that one. Upper left-hand corner is the estimated beginning balance and unencumbered beginning balance in the general fund, 4.3 million. Yay team.
Good job.
Yeah.
It creeps up every year.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah. Emergency reserve is going up by 100,000 each year.
Is there a cap you plan on that?
You know what?
Well, that's determined by council, but I think we've
Yeah.
talked all along, we want to at least get it up to like $1 million before we have another conversation.
Yeah. So,
Their
retirement.
goal is to get over several million
Oh,
for
okay.
reserve. Most cities have double digits.
No. Not
So
anymore.
we're going back from almost zero.
Yeah.
So we're going in the
that's-
right direction, we're
Mhm.
just not where we need to be.
Right. So you'll see that by the end of 2023, we will have 700,000 in there.
All right.
So we're 70% to the $1 million goal.
As long as it doesn't crash,
Yes.
which is a potential issue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this invested or is it?
No. Yeah, we have it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is an interest-bearing account.
Yes. It's,
Okay.
but we're very limited in what we can invest in.
Got it.
Are we limited to the 100,000 per year, or that's just what you've?
No, we're not limited.
arbitrarily chosen?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So at some point, if you guys want me to throw more in there, you know.
Does it behoove us to throw more in there or not? Or should we just keep going the way that, it's going now and adds up very nicely?
This
Well-
year, I would leave it where it's at, because the feds,
You don't know what's
we're
gonna, yeah.
teetering.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to wait a year and
But,
see if it settles.
yeah, we can always amend
And with,
during the year, next
Yeah.
year, you know?
wait till, because they don't know what they're doing yet. They're
Another-
still deciding.
Another thing to think about too with unencumbered balance is that we are in negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
and that will reduce that number,
Yep.
so we're
Better to be,
looking at serve and all
Safe.
that and trying to figure out where we're gonna land, and we have a pretty good idea, and I think we're gonna be okay, but until it's complete, I can't tell you guys much of anything.
All right, so, we'll move over to, appropriations then. We're, like we had discussed, we're keeping, because of what the mayor just said, we're, keeping the wage increase at 0 right now. And, you know, I rolled in the capital improvements that we had discussed. And one thing I do want to point out that we'll be discussing as the year goes on is Fund 423, so it's on the back, if I printed a double back for you. It's about seven lines up, Fund 423 municipal property. You'll see we're starting that with 1.75 million, appropriating 7 million. So this is all would go towards the service center. We don't know where we're going to end up from a dollar standpoint. Hoping 7 million's on the high end, and if it was 7, we'd borrow 5.75 and still have a $500,000 left over in the municipal property fund.
The plan is still just to renovate on Valley.
So that property, Mark had a call today actually, and it's looking like we should have something definitive probably in the next 2 weeks to a month, to where we're coming to you guys for the criteria architect again. So we'll start that process all over, because this is a new property, having someone assess it, look at that and figure out, it's gonna be a design build. We have to, because that building is a
Yeah.
hodgepodge, but we're getting it for $1.
Mhm.
It's just,
It's not in the budget.
that's a lot of work that needs to be done, plus
Come on,
it's
take-
kind of
take
like
it out
a
of there.
board building.
I'll give it to you, I'll donate.
You
A
know,
lot of stuff there.
and I'll
that
say
went
this,
on.
it's, the building's pretty much gutted, and it's gonna take a lot of modifications to get it where it needs to be. I mean, I'm estimating in pavements alone and earthwork, it's probably $1 million
Yep.
to get it where it's supposed to be. So, in rehabbing the building and having appropriate entrances and exits and all the things we're gonna have added in there, it's gonna be a lot, but if you remember what we went through with the brand new building, for that amount of money, we got nothing. I mean, it wouldn't even accommodate half of what we were looking for, so we're kinda fortunate in this process, so I'll have more very soon on that.
We also have them what needs to be done,
What do you mean?
reclamation, oil,
Yeah,
dirt,
so once,
soil.
we can't get it until the EPA says, so it's not even
Yeah.
ours until the EPA says it
That's
can be
what I'm saying.
sold.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
once it even has it, that's all done, yeah?
there was one last piece they had to button up, it's called the 9150 group, and they took care of it, but the EPA moved very slowly, but if Mark was in here, he could explain a lot better.
He's here.
He's sitting there reading the comic.
Yeah,
You talk all good.
But there was a couple of sheds in the back that were used for monitoring, and they had to remove those sheds. So I think to this point, they have removed them, which is the big thing that was holding us up, and that was like a month just to remove some sheds. So now that they're gone, it's just the EPA and their paperwork, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of paperwork and silly stuff, but we're talking about the property on Valley View and where we're at in terms of the next steps.
Yeah, so we had a conference call this afternoon with Law Department, the 9150 group, which essentially is one individual. It used to be an association of 4 members, but now it's down to 1. And the Ohio EPA, and the EPA had quite a bit of staff on their attorney and a couple technical gurus. And long story short, we're gonna try to, normally you have a closure process, which the current property owner is responsible for, and then you have a post-closure process, because there's still some environmental stuff that's not gonna be taken care of in the closure plan. They're responsible for the closure plan, we're responsible for the post-closure plan, so there's 2 stages. Normally, you complete stage 1, move on to stage 2. Here, the EPA wants to do everything at once. So the actual date the cities would take title to the property is probably gonna be a little bit farther out, but we're trying to work to get access to the property so we can start the criteria architect process, which we began last time around when we were looking at a different location. So, there was a delay in this process caused by Ohio Edison not shutting off the power to the property so they could remove the sheds. That's been done to the EPA's satisfaction, so that was kind of the last actual hurdle, and now we can just move forward with the statutory notice processes, and we're negotiating the language with the post-closure plan that we'll be responsible for currently. So, looking at trying to get access November, December, actual title transfer, because there's a 45-day notice requirement under the law, we'll probably be looking at January, February next year.
But we can begin the process of developing what we want to do with it.
Correct.
And this is not going to fall through. Mark was pretty clear that now that we're this deep into it, we're not going to lose this thing. So I want to be real clear about that. We're getting this building no matter what.
You using the same criteria architect and just changing the terms, or just a whole new
It
bidding?
has to by law start all over again.
Okay.
So it's the whole thing all over again. And if you want to be involved in that process because it's your gig, I'm more than welcome you to be a part of that.
Okay.
and look at things, so that's kind of your career, so I'd be happy to get you involved in that when we get to that point if you want,
Sure.
so we'll do that.
Another set of educated eyes doesn't hurt.
Sorry, I hijacked you a little bit there.
That's okay, no
That's
problem.
literally the 2023 budget. Dan. That's all we need.
That's a big chunk of it.
If you can find us a cheaper architect.
And just, I guess the last piece
Donation.
of that, since you were talking about the budget, I think the current, if I'm not mistaken, 10-year total remediation plan costs are between 200,000 and 300,000. Sounds like it'll be closer to 200,000, but that depends on the facts at the time based on sampling and stuff like that.
So is that built into this 7 million, or
No.
would that be?
That's a
What is that every year?
annual.
Find it
yeah,
every
yeah.
year.
Yeah, and one of the things,
Let's say it's in the balance, 500,000.
nerdy technical stuff, but normally you have to have what's called a financial assurance, which would be like a bond or some kind of collateral for that amount. Because we're a municipality, we're working on an exemption or an exception really with the EPA, where they'll let either our general fund or some revenue source, it may have to be a separate fund, but we'll talk about that when we get there, rather than actually having to deposit that amount in escrow essentially.
We have some fire trucks we can put up.
Right.
So did I hear you correctly that you speculate that over the 10-year commitment, our financial commitment is only 200,000 total, potentially?
Between 2 and 3 is the estimate.
But not annually, it's
Not
over the whole
annually,
10 years.
correct.
Okay, got it.
That's for the monitoring, and I want to be very, very clear about this. They have deemed it safe.
Right,
Occupied. This is not anything where we're going to put any employee or anyone in harm's way.
No, I was just looking at it from a financial
But I
perspective.
want to make that clear to everyone watching this, that
Yes.
we're not going to put our employees in a compromising position in a building that's not safe.
Right.
Well, that was established prior to this, when we
Correct.
started talking about this the first time.
And I will say that probably
Over
a dozen more times.
Yep, yeah.
right after your do not text and drive statement.
Don't let me see you texting and driving.
No, I don't. So maybe that's something we could do with an open purchase order out of this fund that has a $500,000 balance.
I'm hoping we don't even need to do that,
Yeah,
but we gotta
but-
wait and see what we can
Yeah.
negotiate, so.
Could use the emergency fund, right?
I guess, yeah. But to me, creating a purchase order,
I mean, it's
Locks
only
it in.
20 to 25,000 a year. The 20 to 22,000.
No, for the
better than
bond.
just saying we're committed.
No, I was referring to the bond, not to the actual.
They should all be committed.
So while we're down near that part of the spreadsheet, the road program is right above there. So if you'll look, there's a $1.823 million appropriation for the road program next year.
Which page are you on?
The same page, just when the mayor and Joe Gelati were looking at the list of roads, I think the one like that brings us to what we normally spend, the $700, $800, $850 on the road program, is in a U shape. So that section didn't make sense to just do that section while, and then coming back to do the rest of it. It's
So in other words, we're going in order off of the list. We had some other roads that have deteriorated very quickly, much more than the roads that are above them, and they're gonna have to become a priority. I mean, they're at that point, like we had the freeze and thaw last year, specifically over in Lake Forest. Help me out here, what road's that? What road
Lake
is that?
Forest, Pine. What are the roads in Lake
What's
Forest?
your road? I think it's.
What road do you live on,
What
Jason?
road do you
You
live
know
on?
this.
Thinking McKenna, but that's.
You know this.
I think it's River Run. Well, anyways, last year with the freeze and thaw, it had deteriorated so rapidly that we did some patches to button it up for the time being, but we can't wait on it any longer. It is really, really bad.
What about Newport?
Yeah, is
Newport's
Newport
getting done,
number
yes.
1 on the list still?
No, it's not number one.
But it's on the list.
But it's getting done.
But that might be the area I was talking about, because you have Newport, and then you have Crestline, and Elizabeth on the other
Yeah,
side,
they're all in that
and
area.
Merlin, or
Merline.
Merline.
Newport
So if
should
you
be
did
number one.
Newport,
It's
it makes sense to do the rest all at
Just for
once and then,
continuous paving.
yeah, so we're transferring more in from the general fund.
What did you
Why
get
don't
in
you get
mind?
us the list?
That should be coming,
Maybe we learned
I
from
think
our
on the
mistakes.
next
Next year, next year, next year.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll be, I think it's next week. Or, I'm sorry, we'll have it
Are
the
these
next meeting.
transfers in all
I'll have
from
them for the
TIF
next meeting so you
then?
can announce.
Except for the
because
first one.
Yeah.
So 44
We
to
just-
You
50.
talk
just
about
went
Lake
over.
Forest
Very
and
nice.
some of these
What's
other
that?
streets we've done.
44.
Well,
Hells
Lake
with
Forest,
roads again.
Lake Forest, to be clear, I don't
That's
know what the
the
inspections
avenue,
were
I
over there,
think.
but it was
This is
not
our
done
oldest
right.
one? It's the
No,
one that has the
94.
most?
No, it is the avenue down at the bottom.
Lake Forest is relative.
That's just the largest
compared to
development.
others.
And, you know, we could be getting some from 5052, which is Peak Nano, Ohio State Waterproofing, and Optima, or Cleanland. Peak Nano and Ohio State Waterproofing. Optima we're just doing right now.
So you have nothing
Yeah.
predicted for them.
So I didn't estimate anything, not knowing timing of how the state.
Why is it you didn't estimate?
Because it takes a while to get it through the process, county
Because
approved.
Optima opens up next month.
No, we did the TIF, but
Well, they're
I'm saying,
partially open.
Yeah.
Not.
They're my
all the-
dermatologists. That's
No.
it. They have a
Very
grand
good.
opening and a whole thing already posted.
no, yeah, we've.
And I thought is Wade the new one?
Yes, that's across
Okay.
the street by KFC.
So we didn't give one to the
So,
one by 271.
Yeah,
entrance.
Cleanland, it's on there.
Summit Point TIF,
But there's no money there and that's been open for
Right,
over a year.
like I said, there's a delay in
The county has to reappraise the improved value and then collect the taxes on that.
and then the state,
appraisal.
How long does that take? Cause that's been open over a year plus.
The good news is we don't lose any collections, because it goes back to when our ordinance was passed. So, it's just the process of getting it through the county and then the state has to approve it.
yeah.
And then you have a 90-day wait after that. And the county only gives you 2 disbursements a year. They won't give you a separate one just because a TIF finally got approved by the state in October. They won't, you know, that'll roll over to the next year, so.
Yeah, the Cleanland was approved
Yeah.
a while ago.
No, I
That's why
get
I
it.
wonder why it would be a year later and we still
So
have
Summit Point
no
is
estimate.
estimated.
I'll give you the number for the lady who approved it.
I'm looking at the bottom.
Believe me,
For
there's
number
been
47.
years where I've had TIFs that takes 3 years to collect that first payment.
So Summit Point is estimated to bring in 650,000 this year in the TIF, number 470.
And we passed it all on,
And where are we passing it?
schools and to the developer.
Are we no longer collecting on that
We
TIF?
never did.
Oh,
I didn't set that one up.
gotcha. So that is a whoopsie TIF or something?
I will,
Whatever. It was just set
I
up
will defer my
incorrectly,
comments.
and it passes through us, and we pass it all
It,
along.
it occurs, I mean, it's, the law allows for that, and that's what the city was willing to do at the time.
Okay. All right. Now we know.
Is
I
there,
think the purpose for that one at the time was just to encourage the development to happen.
is there a way just to give us when they expire, like Summit Point? It's been around a while. What's the expiry date?
It's a 30-year.
30 years?
Yeah, from when it first, I think 2008 was maybe, so 2038. Yeah. But to me, that doesn't even exist because we're just a conduit to collect and pass along. Even though I approached that developer when I first started, I said, hey, how about giving us some of this?
Can they be modified?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I imagine they said absolutely not.
Yep. So, let's see, any other? No, that was a big thing, talked about the service department center. Still with all this extra, transfers and spending, we're projected to have $4 million in our overall unrestricted, which the auditors recognize as the general fund at the end of next year. So
So the 2.69 million,
plus the 700,000,
700, okay.
4,900, the 564, and the 73,800.
okay.
And the 7,000. So that's still, we're getting things done, and
Did you
Yeah.
say the emergency reserve is included in that total?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They allow you to create these funds for segregation purposes, if you will, but they treat it as part of the general fund
Got it.
when they report. So anybody have any other questions?
I just have a generic question, and I don't know if you can even answer this, either because you don't know or because you may not be allowed to. But the income tax increase that you're seeing, do you think that that's a result of the transition of people who have started to work from home and now pay the city directly instead of a different city? Or is there not a way for us to know the answer to that? I'm just curious if
There
it's.
might be a way to ask Rita, so I can check, because
Good question.
I think that
I think they
It's a
are
potential-
I think they're trying to track it.
yeah.
It was easier to notice in Glen Willow because all of a sudden we were getting progressive withholding,
Right.
and we're like, "Where's progressive?" You know, you have 10 businesses to look at. Like, I don't see progressive anywhere.
Yep.
And that was people that left all those buildings up.
Went to work from home.
Mm-hmm. So
Because I mean
you know,
that could be a long-term, seismic shift in the
Mhm.
revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll check. I know if you.
It's just a thought. If you can't
Yeah.
figure it out, it's not a big
I
deal.
think they've mentioned it, that they're looking to try and track it.
Mhm.
So I will check with them.
Yeah, that's what I had emailed you along a couple months ago,
Yeah.
about trying to do something about that.
Well, if we noticed, I guess I could look at our top 300 employers compared to,
Yeah.
and see if we do see
I-
a
and
progressive or something like that.
Part of the reason I asked is I did it. I went to my employer and changed my withholding to the city.
Yeah.
So,
Targeted that while she was still working on site.
Well, thank you.
yeah. One way or the other, I'm paying the same amount.
It just gets to us for earlier.
Yeah.
Tracking, working from
I
home.
don't know how that happened, how they
Yeah.
allowed that.
Well, I mean, when I worked in Valley View,
Mm-hmm.
but at that time, both of us were 2%. 1% went to Valley View, 1% went to Macedonia. But if I'm just here, then
Mhm.
you get both. You get all 2%.
Right.
So you would get an uptick.
Yeah. I will check. Any other questions?
I don't have any. Anyone else?
That was an interesting question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kind of been following that topic since the pandemic happened.
Yeah, it's hard to separate the, wage increases and new businesses coming in, and
Well,
then
our
there's three factors there.
our building department does do a good job of setting aside new home builds and new businesses, and then I'll drop it off with somebody's name that I know there, because it's in Brecksville, so it's kind of on my way home.
And my thought was, for this question, people like me would appear to you
Mm-hmm.
as always potentially seeking a refund, but never actually paying directly in, right? Because my withholdings went directly to Twinsburg.
Mm-hmm.
So if you saw my employer not change, but all of a sudden you're getting contributions, and the reason I'm curious is I wonder how many people out there have not changed their deductions to pay us, but they should.
Right.
And I don't know what our options are to fix that and find that.
It's typically up to the employer,
Right.
and I don't know if Rita would get involved to force an employer to
To change it.
pay one or two,
Yep.
but
Well, when I was in
Something
Columbus,
to ask them.
they talked a lot about the impact to the communities where that was happening, especially like a Progressive
Mhm.
or a
Solid.
Cleveland Clinic in Independence.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they were looking to legislate to try and keep them whole. And I'm the guy going,
You
oh,
can't.
wait
no,
a minute,
right.
you know, I get what happened, but it's not really fair to
Those-
us that
those-
they're working in our community.
Mhm.
And they're potentially using our resources.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna mention
it
the
kind of
clinic.
keeps falling flat on its face. It was talked about a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, because Cleveland Clinic and Independence, 1,000 employees all
Right.
work, maybe some of those are here.
Yep.
Progressive in Mayfield Village.
Yeah, yeah, that was the first one I mentioned, yeah. But both of those are the same. Progressive, probably even more employees.
Well, Cleveland Clinic had 3,500 in that building in Independence, and it's kaput. They're all at home now.
Progressive's talking about closing buildings,
Yeah,
So is
all up
my
in
company.
Mayfield,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
where their headquarters is.
Makes
They've
sense.
got 3 or 4 buildings.
You don't
up
need brick
there.
and mortar.
All primary was
Big overhead.
yeah, all right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Are we doing first reading tonight on that? by the
Yes,
way?
do 1, 2, 3, I mean, 1 now, 2
Yeah,
in November,
We never
3 in
do 1, 2,
December.
3.
I didn't think so. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure there wasn't any.
Just to get that,
reason-
in case somebody has a question
Yeah,
with that,
no rush.
with the budget. As long as it's passed before the end of the year, we don't need to do a temporary. If you don't pass by the end of the year, you have to put a temporary that covers the first quarter.
Right.
That used to happen quite a few years ago, and then I worked to say,
No, it's a lot better to have it
it was just
annual.
not the
Yeah,
smartest
No.
idea.
Not at all. Hard to budget that way too.
Yeah.
No
Thank you,
planning
John.
involved.
Appreciate you putting all these meetings together.
Thank you.
Is this our last one then?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Sorry,
we
I
don't need
bought eyeballs,
any
but they gave them all
questions that
out.
come up
Yes.
for second
Did you
reading, we'll
get
just
some?
run it
What?
through
No,
caucus.
I was
Okay.
They
table
were
That's
up at
okay.
the
I'm
purple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the next
I
I just
two,
put this in.
two
Yeah.
meetings will be
Back to normal.
back to normal.
Did you have any eyeballs left?
No, no, they
I was
weren't,
gonna
they
give
weren't the
my
fastest.
balls.
No, they're super cool. Kids were like, oh, what are
Those
these?
were popular.
Well, I'm going tomorrow to
These
see if
are
they have
chocolate,
more.
peanut butter filled chocolate.
They were chocolate eyeballs. I figured the kid, that's truly a kid's candy.
Yeah,
There
they were
was
super
so
We're gonna
cool.
go
much
to
good
Ralph's and
candy
see.
out there, so much.
Because I'm gonna give them out to whoever shows up at our door. Besides, tell your kids come to my house, I give out full-size candy
Oh,
bars.
yeah.
Ooh.
So if I paint my face and carry a pillowcase, I'm in?
Yeah. I used to always carry a
If
pillowcase.
If you manage to walk up her hill, you can have a full size
Yeah,
candy
that's the
bar.
thing, you gotta walk up my hill, well, no, you could drive up and walk over, what the heck. And no, Greg is not giving out beer to the adults this year.
Somebody was doing that near my house. I don't want to out where it was, but somebody was doing that near
Yeah,
my house.
he'd give them an unopened, here, see ya.
Oh,
There were like
nice.
bottles of Corona or something. It was crazy.
Well, he ran out of candy, he gave out all the cans of pop we had. The kids thought that was great.
That's great.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Always thinking.
If you're looking for a good ale, IPA, pumpkin ale
What
by
is it?
Southern Tier,
It's a little
pumpkin.
sweet.
Oh,
It's,
Yeah, I think Spinato's has a tap.
God, I've been
and there's a
Spinatos
nitro
forever.
version, and Kyle explained what nitro version is, cause it's a little creamier, he said pour it into a glass. and-
Guinness style.
Yeah,
Warlock?
There's a little.
I think it's Warlock, is that one?
Yeah, there's a Warlock too.
Yeah, I think that's the nitro.
Yeah, they have a nitro Warlock and they have a nitro pumpkin,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna hit the restroom real quick.
cause we went
All right,
to,
you
my
got
wife
2
and I
minutes,
went
Jen.
to Rexburg. And
7 o'clock.
Yes, Master.
Alrighty, let's start with 64. Mr. Gelati, this is for the pavement markings.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Brandt. This is for pavement markings that ODOT is going to do next year, 2023, on Route 8 up at the north end of town. As law states, I guess, so we're responsible for 20% of the cost of the project, anything that ODOT does there. So our share is $2,900. This is our required participatory legislation so that they can proceed with the pavement marking.
This is the
for
one
next year.
by the post office.
Yeah.
That nobody knows is luck, that's right, because there's no markings, they've all faded
There
away.
you go.
Oh, no.
It gets real ugly up there.
Well, yeah, let's do that then.
Yeah.
Alright, 1, 2, 3 on this. Everyone all good with that?
I'm
Thank
fine.
you.
And then you'll see final legislation come through down the road, so this is just a preliminary.
They're gonna do it next year,
Next year, yes.
if they have the paint.
There was a paint shortage this summer.
I'm not kidding.
There's a shortage for everything.
There is.
Alright,
Shortage of pickleball nets.
resolution 65, Mr. Chaddick, Mr. Wilson. This is the disposal of, I think this is the fountain.
Is it me?
Yeah, the fountain disposal.
Yeah, we're throwing away a fountain.
Hopefully getting 10 grand.
Getting rid of a fountain.
Do you have any buyers for the fountain yet?
That-
Any interest?
Director Bears thinks we're gonna get 10 grand. We may.
We can't put it on Gov Deals until you approve
Yeah,
this.
put it on gov deals.
We can get 100 grand, it might be in a candy bar for you.
Alright, I'm
1,
down
2,
with
3?
it. 1, 2, 3 I'd like to do on that.
Good.
Get rid of them.
The planned capital updates,
Okay.
Mr. Veras.
Very happy to report this as well. Program introduced 3 years ago. If you could see the attachment, I don't know if it's easy to read or not, based upon how it comes across, but we have now set aside $1.491 million for future capital purchases. And they're all scheduled out for you. POs are all listed. So thank you for approving this back in 2020.
So we just have to approve this every year?
Yeah, as part of the originating legislation, the auditors way back when I started at Independence suggested, and it's a good suggestion, to update council once a year with the open purchase orders and what the money is projected to be spent on.
Any questions on this, folks? Alright, any objections to 1, 2, 3 on this? I mean, we've gone over this data several times and in different finance meetings and during the year, so let's try and do 1, 2, 3 on that, please.
Could you repeat the dollar amount?
1.491,100.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
It's hard to see. I was debating about going legal size.
No, I have that one at home.
Yeah.
Print it out.
Alright, 67 is the 2023 annual appropriations, and so that'll be the first read on that. That's just what we just went over. 68, I think, Mark, this is the stormwater management from the state.
Chapter 920.
Yes.
Yeah, so chapter, this ordinance and the next one for 923, which is erosion and sediment control. Joe could probably talk more about it, but it's basically to remain compliant with updated EPA requirements, which are non-substantive changes to both the stormwater management code and erosion and sediment control chapter of our code.
So the changes are all the ones that are red, correct? You might wanna check your, there's one in here, fro stormwater.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It says
Is it-
fro
there's a
stormwater
typo.
instead of for stormwater.
It's a
I don't want us to
technical
get in
term.
trouble.
Technical term.
We can't.
Need an engineering degree
It's a
to.
typo, it's a typo, okay?
Yeah, only engineers.
Didn't fool you for 1 second.
No, so Mark is right. This is to remain compliant with the EPA And he's right, there's no actual change to the technical regulations or the rules that we enforce around town. It's required by the EPA. What happens is the EPA has their manual that everybody's supposed to follow. It gives all the technical regulations. Our code has those exact identical regulations in it. Like somebody just retyped the words. What EPA wants everybody to do is instead of you having your own words, you just refer back to their manual. And that's what these changes are. You'll see
It's
it
their
refers to it
updates.
many
Okay.
times in the changes or in the revisions there. It's EPA's way to get everybody
On the same.
honed in on the same
That's
page.
actually
I think
good
it's a
for
good
everybody,
idea.
because then every community has
Correct.
looked the same.
That's modern programming.
Yeah,
Correct.
you don't have to worry
So-
about that
Cut and paste.
water.
What's that?
You don't have to worry about the stormwater.
Correct. So
Well-
this keeps us in compliance with EPA's rules, and I would suggest we do a 1, 2, 3 unless there's any other questions.
I would suggest so as well. 1, 2, 3 on 68 and 60, anything, 69 is the same thing, right?
Yeah, so the two are
293.
really the exact same thing. The first item on the agenda is for stormwater management, i.e. build a detention pond if you do a development. The second one is for erosion and sediment control, which is like for an active construction site. So, mud running off the construction site.
Quick question on that, if we're just referring to the manual,
Yeah.
Done.
how, if they change it, how do they let you know that and what they've changed?
Believe me, we would know. There would be a long period leading up to that,
Okay.
in which, it's, I guess, the public comments period or the notification period, and then the changes would be implemented, and everybody would get a copy of the new manual and a link to it on the website, which
Okay.
is really what everybody.
So they can't just change it without anybody knowing it?
It's not going to change without
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah, right.
Come back and
It's
see
nothing
this.
sneaky.
Yeah. No, they don't want to be sneaky. They want you to know the changes.
Okay.
Same,
These
same
are-
with
If
the
they come.
notice period we talked about with the new service building, we're amending the closure plan, which is public, so they have that statutory public comment period.
So
Same-
these
same
are in
difference.
effect already?
Yes.
Adding, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that becomes real crucial when we talk with the school's potential of doing all their projects. If it passes, everything in here is gonna have a play in that.
Mhm.
All right, on to ordinance 70. So 68 and 69, let's do 1, 2, 3, please. 70 is purchase equipment for police and fire. No one's here from police and fire, so Mayor, would you like to, Mayor or Mr. Veras?
I sent these out for quotes. So it's for the 4 Tahoes and 6 Durangos and the fire rescue squad.
Ambulance.
Well, he likes to call it a rescue squad.
That's simple, it's an ambulance.
That's what I like.
New ambulance, 4 Durangos, and 6 Dodge
So,
Durangos.
would like to go 1, 2, 3 because the 4 Tahoes are waiting in a parking lot in Massachusetts for us to receive delivery of. Plan is, if it passes tonight, to fund this as an escrow. So put all that money in escrow, take the money that you need out of escrow to, Huntington will then send it to the dealership in Massachusetts. We already have a delivery truck ready to go on the 3rd, I believe. So,
Very good.
Do they have to, are they already outfitted, or
no,
they come here?
they
and
come
get
here and
outfitted?
then get
And always,
outfitted.
yeah.
I got you.
We won't see them for a while.
Do we
but-
drive them, or do they
Get the
drive
ball
them?
rolling.
They're gonna drive them to us. We looked at both
I'll be
options.
glad to go up there and ride.
I know, I told
Not
them
driving
that.
them, that's for sure. Too
Yeah,
big.
4 of the guys wanted to fly out there, so let's just have them do
I
it.
could ride the back of the
They're not
ambulance.
fun times.
So Chief, is this for, this 70, is this for an ambulance or a rescue squad?
For Northeast Ohio, it's considered a rescue squad. Functions that of an ambulance.
But it says ambulance in here,
Well, that's because we have a finance director who is
See?
uninformed.
because it says new ambulance.
I know, thanks.
Horton hears of who emergency vehicles are.
Irregardless, it's the same.
Then you're super cool.
I don't like that word either.
Just wanna make sure we don't have to change any language
Yeah.
or get in trouble.
Well, it's technically authorized already by ordinance 65/2021, so.
The purchase,
As,
yeah,
as set forth in that
Sure,
ordinance.
sure, you always have an answer. Mhm.
So,
Thanks, Mark.
so should this
Ever
pass
since
1,
high
2,
school.
3, we will receive them in the immediately near future.
Just the Tahoes,
Yeah,
not,
just
not
the
the other,
Tahoes.
not the other vehicles.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like to give vexatious responses, don't you?
It's functional verbiage.
All right. Any objections to going 1, 2, 3? I think we'd all
No,
like to do
no,
that.
Not at all.
It's a vexatious comment.
We're not cool,
Before
we're
somebody else
awesome.
buys them from others.
Oh, you don't know what to do.
Anyone jazzed to do 1, 2, 3, Jan? Is that what you're
Yeah.
thinking? Jazz?
We're all ready.
All right. 71 is the Bash Jewelers tip. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was done.
Yay,
All,
bash.
all you would do is ask us for money, John.
Okay. So, I would have put this with the other 3 we passed earlier, but Joey and I, we meet monthly, and I keep asking them every month, hey, you think they're gonna break ground? You're gonna think, and finally, so that's why this one's here. They finally did break ground. The mayor was there with the shovel. So this has to go no, I'm sorry. It has
First
to be
reading
read
only?
1, 2, 3,
3 times.
3 times. So
Even
That's
says
what's
so in the
September.
exhibit, first reading only.
Yeah.
and now I'll send
Guess
out
it's
the
a
letter.
We'll have it done by Christmas.
Yes.
So is that the rule? You're not allowed to
Well,
work on these until ground is broken?
well, it's not the rule, but because you collect 30 years worth of,
Right,
you want to not miss the first.
Got it.
yeah, we've always done first, then a second, then a
No,
third.
he's talking
Again?
about.
Yeah,
he's talking about waiting until you break ground
Before we could
before you
even-
pass
Oh,
it.
there.
Before we
Yeah.
could even read it one time?
Now, over
They're
time,
breaking
they've
ground,
allowed
yeah.
you to set limits in the ordinances
Like
to say,
effective date?
Are they gonna
yeah,
pay
Kick-
this in money or in
or
jewels?
kick off when it reaches a certain incremental increase in value.
Gotcha.
But
Do we have a good appraiser on
They
our
make
team?
some really nice stuff for houses.
that's how our carrot tip was.
We'll take a couple rings, and some watches.
So first reading.
All right, thank you. Ordinance 72, that is the 4th amendment, which there is a supplement.
Supplement, there's a memo
All laid out for us.
all laid out. Print a copy of this one?
If you have one, I didn't print one.
Okay.
I'm having trouble with the printer.
The good news, $0.
No, this is, it looks
I got
the
it.
same as the amendment, but here's a one-page summary. This is the one Jan was saying, all blue.
All right.
Yeah. So, my memo, happy to report again, I increased the income taxes based upon collections through October. Adjusted the fiscal recovery to actual received because there was a, what's the proper word used here?
Hiccup?
Hiccup in how they decided to distribute the money, and there was a little bit left over.
Something like that.
Yeah, so that little bit left over that we got, adjusted for that. On the appropriation side, no increase in the general fund, but moved money around between groups. And there actually was an overall reduction in appropriations of 106,600. The refund program reduced the appropriations by 14,900. SCM&R added 73.5 in wages and benefits due to a reclassification of an employee who used to be posted to the general fund. Parks and Rec, a reduction, this is the 204 section, so this is the outdoor section for the most part, basically, not the family rec center. Reduction of 31,500 for wages, benefits, and other expenses. And then family rec was an addition, so there was a movement of somebody in between those two, but not dollar for dollar. And then all the above changes were net zero change in overall appropriations. And then that 150 that I took out of the 2023 annual budget is being added here because we received more income than projected in the JED, and most of that was net income related, so you don't want to count on net income every year being the same. Those are the changes. And hopefully this is the last one for the guy who over there is keeping track.
Good job if you only have 4.
4, yes.
I like it.
Last year was 6.
We're getting there.
Now, it's not bad to have some, so you have to have a little flexibility. 4 is a good number.
72 then.
So 1, 2, 3 on
1,
this.
2, 3 on those folks. And then 73 and 74 are service department equipment. Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, permission to purchase, a bucket truck, is 73, and 74 is a backhoe, replacing 2 pieces of equipment, replacing a 96 bucket truck and a 97 backhoe, both just older pieces of equipment that have reached their end of their life.
Dang, that's old.
That's 96 and 97. Just
I
to be
know.
clear.
That's when we graduated 25 years ago.
96
Well,
was a great
26
year.
for you.
Thanks. Thank you.
And if you'll notice, these 2 items were on the planned capital and will be coming off when we actually use these forward purchase orders.
Are these gonna take a long time because of supply chain, or?
We've been looking for that bucket truck long before Mr. Wilson has come here, and I think we finally found it, correct?
Yeah, we found one, and they've told me 6 to 9 months, but also warned me that it could be longer. Probably a year, I don't
Okay.
Same with the backhoe. Or you haven't found a backhoe.
know. I think a little shorter on the back though, hopefully, about 6 months, maybe less. It's just the bucket truck, there's a lot involved, they're all, it's pieced together, chassis and the bed and the actual boom and lift and all that, so it's all different companies and coordinating all that.
Okay.
And the nice thing with the new bucket truck is we won't need to rent a lift as much because we can utilize that bucket because it goes higher. The other one doesn't go as high, and this can replace lights that we can't reach currently.
Yeah, it's a working height of like 45 feet, currently we're maybe 30 or something,
Oh.
or 20, somewhere in there, so.
I like it.
Can I borrow that around November?
No problem.
Not I.
That's
All
all I
right.
know, so.
So,
You could have the old one, Jeff.
so that encompasses
Supply.
73 and 74. Any further questions on those vehicle purchases, equipment purchases? And let's do 1, 2, 3 on both of those so we can get that rolling. That was a bit of a equipment pun.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. It's not so funny if I ask you now. All right, folks, so that is all for the agenda. Anything else anyone needs to bring up, talk about? Birthday wishes? How are your dogs doing? Everybody's dogs doing good?
It was a happy anniversary today.
Is there?
Happy anniversary?
Yeah, 21st anniversary.
Oh, happy.
Oh.
Which one?
21st.
Well, thank you to your wife for letting
I
you.
don't think it's going well
come
because
out.
you're here.
Yeah. Just saying.
I talked her into Saturday.
You have 12 minutes to give her a call.
Well, I'll let your wife know that you didn't have to be here.
She may join us tonight.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I knew there was something to that when you called me
Then we'll know
earlier.
she exists.
No,
Hello and welcome to the October 27th council meeting. It is 7:30 PM. Will Mr. Hoover please call the roll?
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Finley.
Here.
Mr. Garbus.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
Now I ask American Legion Chaplain Tom O'Brien to lead us in the invocation and pledge.
With bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we pray Thee to guide our work in this meeting. We pray for those who serve the people and guard the public welfare, those civil servants who work at City Hall and throughout our community, that by Thy blessing they may be enabled to discharge their duties honestly and well. We pray for our local leaders, that by Thy help they may provide the leadership our community has empowered them with. And we further ask that our children be kept safe during Halloween. And finally, O God of mercy, we ask Thy blessing and comfort for our neighbors who may be suffering mental or physical disabilities. Cheer them and bring them Thy blessing of health and happiness. Amen. Amen. Now please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
As always, thank you, Mr. O'Brien, much appreciated. Okay, approval of the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the Thursday, October 13th, 2022 regular council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comments is next. We don't have any on the agenda, or no one signed in today. So correspondence from the clerk.
No, sir.
All right, pending our new legislation, starting with resolution number 64.
I move to offer resolution number 64, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to complete and execute preliminary legislation as required by ODOT, giving consent for ODOT's installation of certain pavement markings along State Route 8 for project D04 PM RWR FY 2023-PID number 115375.
Director Gelati.
Yeah, thanks. This is for pavement markings on State Route 8 that ODOT will be performing next year. We're responsible as a city for only 20% of the cost of that project. This is our legislation to participate in that project.
And that amounts to a whopping,
$2,900.
thank you.
Oh, I didn't budget for that.
And what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution number 64, 2022 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 64 carries. Resolution number 65.
I'd like to offer resolution 65, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution authorizing the disposition of certain municipal property by the Public Service Department of the City of Macedonia in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 721.15.
Director Wilson and/or Chaddick. This is a complicated one. You might want to both talk.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a pond fountain that we replaced, and we are asking permission to put it on Gov Deals and sell.
And to be clear on that, I'll just add that that fountain has given us fits for probably the past several years. And if you have an opportunity to go to the park and look at the new pond fountain we have, that thing is amazing and beautiful. So thank you for getting that done, gentlemen, and I think people will really enjoy that. And I believe there's colors at night, correct?
Yeah.
Affirmative.
Pretty neat. But that fountain was not
Beautiful.
functioning well at all, and we were paying to have that thing repaired more than I care to admit, so we have replaced it with a nice new one. So thank you.
It's been there since the pond was created. It's overdue.
And what is your pleasure?
I move to pass resolution 65, 2022 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in
Oh,
favor?
sorry.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution 65 carries. Ordinance number 66.
Yes, I'd like to offer ordinance number 66-2022 for first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance approving use of the City of Macedonia updated planned capital purchase program for certain planned capital purchases.
Director Veras.
Thank you, Mayor. As we mentioned in caucus, we now have 1 million, am I stealing your thunder? Could you ask for what the dollar amount was? No?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
$1,491,100 set aside for capital purchases. This is a program I introduced 3 years ago, and we're just following the guidelines that the auditors like us to have in place to update council annually on the status of the open purchase orders for the program.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Mayor, I'd like to adopt ordinance number 66, 2022, and have the same posted according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance 66 carries. Ordinance number 67.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 67, 2022 for its first reading by title only.
An ordinance providing for the 2023 annual appropriations for the city of Macedonia, Ohio.
Director Veras?
Thank you, Mayor. This is culmination of several finance committee meetings, so I thank council and the finance committee for having those. And it's always nice, as council member Tully said in the caucus, to have our annual appropriations passed prior to the year beginning. So this will give us first read now, second read in November, and third read in December for passage before the end of the year.
Thank you. Ordinance number 68.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 68, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending Chapter 920 of the City of Macedonia Codified Ordinances relative to comprehensive stormwater management.
Mr. Gelati or Director Gelati?
Yeah. So as discussed in the work session, these code updates do not change the technical requirements, stormwater requirements that developers need to follow here in the city, but these code updates are required by EPA and will keep us in compliance with the EPA.
Thank you. And what is your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 68, 2022, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 68 carries. Ordinance number 69.
I move to offer ordinance number 69, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending Chapter 923 of the City of Macedonia Codified Ordinances relative to erosion and sediment control.
Director Gelati, you have pretty much the same thing?
Same explanation from the previous item applies to this one as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance number 69, 2022 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 69 carries. Ordinance number 70.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 70, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Huntington Public Capital Corporation to finance the purchase of new equipment for the police and fire departments.
Chiefs, you want to take this one?
Well, the fire side of it is for an ambulance that we actually ordered in October of last year. And I am proud to announce that the chassis finally showed up, because we also have one on order for Northfield Center. They arrived in Columbus about 3 weeks ago, and we'll probably be receiving the units in January.
So we'll get a new rescue squad in January?
Well, Mr. Veras calls an ambulance, and we call a rescue squad, yes.
You're so technical.
Vehicle.
Just can't get that line.
And this is for some of the police cars we're ordering. So we're trying to get some from all over. So we've been canceled several times, so we're doing our best to have an operating fleet. So we're doing our best to make that happen, but we keep getting orders canceled, so.
But Sergeant Costello did locate 4 Tahoes that we are getting, and this is hopefully to get the other vehicles that we've been talking about for quite some time.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
In Massachusetts,
Well, that's just the Tahoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went as far as Massachusetts to get vehicles.
yes, so.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I'd like to offer ordinance 70, 2022 to adopt and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 70 carries. Ordinance number 71.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 71, 2022 for its first reading by title only.
Under emergency ordinance declaring improvements to a certain parcel of real property to be a public purpose, describing the public improvements to be made which directly benefit such parcel, requiring the owner of the improvements on such parcel to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a Bash Municipal Public Improvement Tax Increment Equivalent Fund for the deposit of such service payments pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5709.40, 5709.42, and 5709.43.
So essentially, this is just a TIF for the new Bash jewelry store, put simply. Ordinance number 72.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 72, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 67, 2021 relative to current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Macedonia for the period of January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022.
Director Veras?
Thank you, Mayor. As discussed in caucus, this is our fourth amendment to our annual appropriations for 2022, hopefully our last. And there are no overall additional appropriations in this request. It's just moving some money around between groups and funds.
How many appropriations have you made this year, or amendments?
4.
4. I remember a time we sat up here and had, how many? I think you were around for that one. 60?
60. Yeah.
Good times. The reason I bring that up is it's an attribute to you in keeping a tight ship with our finances, and I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, what is your pleasure?
I'd like to move that we pass and post according to law ordinance 72, 2022.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance number 72 carries. Ordinance number 73.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 73, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to purchase equipment for the City of Macedonia Public Service Department.
Director Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor. This is to request purchase of a new bucket truck for the service departments. We're going to replace the 1996 current bucket truck. It's served its purpose and probably costing us more money than it's worth at this time. So it's time to replace that. This is a purchase as part of the capital program and is off of the ODOT purchase lease or purchase agreement. So.
As fond as I am of the year of 1996, I won't say why. I think it's time to replace that piece of equipment, so thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 73, 2022, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 73 carries. Ordinance number 74.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 74, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to purchase equipment for the City of Macedonia Public Service Department.
Director Wilson.
And this is an agreement to purchase a new backhoe for the service department. We are replacing a 1997 backhoe. We're buying a new, also a Goodyear apparently. And it's same deal. It's also part of the ODOT contract and part of the capital program.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I'm sorry, I would like to pass and post according to law ordinance 74, 2022.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 74 carries. Any other motions or legislative actions? Hearing none, I'll move right into the mayor's report. I'll start today with saying happy anniversary to Mr. Garvis and his wife. Today is their anniversary, and he so graciously came here instead of spending that time with his wife.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Good luck with that.
She's waiting for him.
Thanks to her, too.
She's waiting.
I also want to thank Mario and Luigi, AKA Counselor Ventura and President Brandt, for what they did at the Buds candy trick-or-treat thing at the high school. Excellent program. I want to thank Director Wilson, Director Chaddock. I believe Mrs. Tully gave some candy. I
Mr.
was-
Garvis gave some
Mr.
candy
Mr.
as
Garvis
well.
gave some candy, so
Vinny was there from the.
Yep.
from the
Vinny
junior
from our
council.
junior council. I mean, we had a lot of folks involved in that. It's a great program. It benefits a lot of challenged children, and I think it's just a wonderful thing that they do. And wow, the attendance they had there. There was a ton of kids, and we went through a heck of a lot of candy,
I think
very fast.
approximately 1 million pieces, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot. So
Yeah.
thank you all of you for that and contributing, and it's just awesome to get back to the kids. Also, I want to thank the fire department, Assistant Chief Zelinski and the two gentlemen that were there. We actually had the bucket truck come down and they were handing candy off the bucket truck, which I thought was really awesome too. So I know the kids love that. So thanks for doing that. And they always love seeing the fire personnel in that piece of equipment.
For anybody that did not get a chance to make it, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time participating in that.
So we'll see everybody next year, yeah?
Was that announced? I don't remember it being announced. Yeah, the
There
council.
was an email out to all the
Email?
departments for
Okay.
that. Next I want to bring up is leaves. We're in leaf season. Please don't put your leaves in the road. I don't want to have to send the building department to send you a letter saying do not put leaves in the road. I'm going to be redundant, and I'll say this probably until we're done with leaf collection, but it clogs up stormwater inlets. It can cause flooding in people's yards. Director Wilson will talk more about that in his report, so I'll leave that for him.
Can I make a comment, or should I wait till Mr. Wilson?
Go ahead.
Okay? This is a very touchy subject in my development. We have about less than 12 inches from the edge of the street before it goes down into the culvert. And then the city states that you can't have your leaf piles any more than 10 feet away from the edge of the pavement. And somebody in the development got the notice from the building department because they had some leaves in the street. There was quite a few big piles. And after I got the call about that, within 10 minutes, the truck came by and scooped them all up in the same day. Last year, somebody in the development got a nasty gram from the service department with a check mark on a piece of form letter that stated, you are more than 10 feet away from the edge of the roadway. So next time, whatever that form letter said at that time. So in that particular development, there is no happy medium. Okay, there really isn't. It's a tough sell in either way. So I just thought I'd bring that up, Mr. Wilson. Nobody's fault. I know when Joe Miglerini came back as mayor, he was upset that when that street was done, because they took that street down to the bare minimum, we couldn't even get down in our driveways, that the berms weren't made wider and culverts pushed farther back. So again, it's one of those, there's no solution for this in that particular area and those streets. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. We're doing the best that we can in that particular development.
We spent time on it today, and he'll discuss that in his report. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and for the area that I run through, they all know I'm coming. They all know. There are a couple of people who didn't even realize that they had put the leaves right next to the drain gate. And I'm like, you got to push them back. It's got to be here. And here's the good news. They're out already picking up the leaves.
Yes.
So the guy across the street appeared to have lost his driveway in a day. He cleaned it all up, and all of a sudden, they all came again, and we laughed. So he's put them all out today in the right spot. But just remember, your leaves go into the drain. They plug it up, and then we get those other horrible problems. But if you haven't started, hate to say it, do it tomorrow before they show up. And are they going to make 2 passes or
Yeah,
one?
We'll
Okay.
make
Or
multiple
4
passes.
this year.
Again, Director Wilson will talk about that in his report. Next thing I want to say is Trick or Treat is on October 31st from 6 to 8, as it is every year. Will always be in the city of Macedonia is October 31st, 6 to 8. Please be safe. If you're driving, please be cautious. There are many children and kids running through the neighborhoods getting candy, and we need to be cognizant of that, so please be safe. The Nordonia Band, thank you, President Brandt, for pointing this out to me because I saw it, but you reminded me. The Nordonia Band got best in class in a competition in New Philadelphia, so I want to congratulate them. You may also notice today that a lot of us are wearing our Nordonia gear. There's a certain football game tomorrow that we want to support. Our Knights are going into the playoffs tomorrow against Garfield Heights at home. If you have an opportunity to make it to that game, I would strongly recommend it. I know we have 2 directors on the panel over there with players on that team, so we want to root them on as well, and I wish you guys the best of luck. And we have a coach as one of our directors, so good luck, coach and director Chaddock, in the game tomorrow.
They should do fine.
I expect to see your visor upside down, correct?
Next time, can we,
And backwards.
next
It's
time
only for
bring the night?
pregame
Yeah.
and halftime.
The rally
He's
visor?
got a whole routine, so if you really want to be entertained, just watch Director Chaddock in the game. It's kind of his thing. It kind of moves all around the place. But thank you for that. And last but not least, don't drive distracted. Put the phones down. Do not text and drive. Junior counsel, you hear that? I'm very important. All right, committee reports.
Parks and Rec Commission did not have an October meeting. Our next meeting will be in November on the 16th, I believe it is, in the activity room. We'll be back downstairs in the activity room with the fancy new floor. So the next meeting will be at 6 o'clock on the 16th. That should be our last meeting for the year unless the group decides to do a December meeting. We do have it in our rules that we do take off in December. So if you want to say anything to the Parks and Rec Commission, November 16th is kind of your last chance for the year. And that is all for my report.
I just would like to quickly thank all of my colleagues on council, Director Veras, and the mayor for coming to the finance committee meetings for the past 3 meetings, showing up early and going through all the
Well, the dinners you provide are excellent.
it's candy on the table.
That's right.
You didn't know that's what the chair's supposed to do, right?
I didn't.
Just
No.
provide a meal.
News to me. But thank you all. Appreciate it.
Any news from the cemetery? Jan? Any news from the meeting you went to, the cemetery board? No?
Okay, move right into,
It's still an open issue.
we'll move into department reports, starting with Director Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. So the topic seems to be leaves. It's true, there's a lot of them. They do seem to be coming down early, and there's a lot right now, right at the beginning. We just started this week, and, you know, typically your first couple weeks is kind of slow, and, you know, maybe we don't even finish, but we're full bore. And so, yeah, our goal is to make it one pass through the city every week. Obviously, we would hope to do more. We shoot for 2, but it's pretty heavy right now. Just depends on the rain and the wind and how everything goes. Leaves are really hard to predict. I tell people, you know, we're not the trash company, and it's the same every time. It's just different every single week and every pass. So it is difficult to tell where we are. I know everyone wants to know where we are and when we're going to be, where we're going to be and when we're going to be there. It's a difficult thing to gauge. We do post on the website every day at 4 o'clock a list. Our guys go by a list of streets, and we're posting, you know, where we are on that list. You can see it, so it's on the website and updated every day. Again, as the mayor stated, no leaves in the street. There's a lot of ditches in Macedonia. It makes it difficult. It really does. If you put the leaves all the way in your yard, we really can't reach them, and it's going to take us forever. So if you can, kind of put them in the ditch, but not all the way in the ditch, if that makes sense. Off the road, you know, not impeding the waterway. It's a difficult situation, but I am seeing people doing that, and it kind of it works enough that we can get to them, yet they're not in the road and they're not in the waterway. Just do your best. I think I've pretty much covered all the leaf situation to the best of my ability. We're also working on Christmas lights, getting those up, taking down fall decorations, and as always, the veterans bathroom is almost complete with the exterior brick. It's really coming along. So I think that's the end of my report.
If you have any questions regarding the leaves and you know, if you're not quite sure, we're more than happy to take the call and kind of show you and help you if we can, right? So that's, we're always willing to go the extra mile to help folks, to show them where to put them, because we don't, the whole intent here is we don't want to come to your house, we don't want to put letters on your home saying, hey, you put leaves in the ditch, you put them in the road. That's not the last thing we want to do. We just don't want to clog up the waterways. It's very important. It's integral to you and your neighbors that we don't do that. So Director Wilson is very tired today because we spent a lot of time today, and he's probably a little annoyed with me about the number of times we talked about leaves, so I apologize. So I just want to make sure that we're communicating to the public what the expectations are, and if we can help you, we'll definitely do that.
Well, there is good news. There's no snow in the forecast for the next 2 weeks, so maybe they'll all be gone
You had a jinx.
for once, because every time we think we're done,
You jinxed it.
nope.
None
No,
of the
it's
snow,
supposed to
you
be
know that.
60s next week.
It's already snowed.
But maybe tomorrow, Mary,
No,
you could leave him
that
alone.
was sleep.
You got the salt trucks ready?
That was sleep.
Director Gelati.
Hey, I make 150,000. I'm a weatherman.
Yeah, thank you to council for passage of resolution 64 and ordinances 68 and 69, so we'll get that paperwork all squared away. No further report.
Thank you. Director Chaddock?
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully before it snows, since that'll be in the forecast now, we'll get Field C lights complete. The footers have been poured, the trenches have been dug out, so now we're just waiting on all that to cure, and probably mid-November, the light poles will be up, and we'll get those functioning, and I'll be working with Director Collins to then get some control of the panels that'll be put out there, because we are working on having these lights put on timers, so we'll be able to control them from our computers. Front desk demo, I should say front island demo, will start next week. So we will begin tearing that down. They're doing a site walkthrough tomorrow, and then next week that project will get started. It'll be 2 to 3 weeks to get the desk removed, to get the flooring lifted and trenched over so we can move our electric and IT stuff over to the new location. And then also next week we're going to start the downstairs flooring. So all the new flooring will go in. That just came in, I think, late last week. So it was delivered a little early. We didn't expect it till November, so kudos, we got something early. It just so happens front desk project will go on at the same time. So we'll have that going on. It'll be for the 2 hallways, the hallway leading to the pool, the hallway leading to the locker room, and then the entire front entrance and lobby area will have all brand new flooring, and then that will complete the building as far as flipping it. We'll also have the stairwells completed. So we're excited about that. And we are working towards Winterfest, Saturday, December 10th at Longwood Park. It'll be back in the pavilion area, real similar setup to Fall Fest. So we're currently working on plans for that, and we'll have more to tell you guys about at the next council meeting. Thank you. End of report.
Director Veras?
Thank you, Mayor. 5 items on the agenda kind of summarize my report. I just want to also remind residents that we still do process refund returns if your return is extended through RETA. We actually processed about 20 of them this week. So keep that in mind. If you've extended your RETA return, you can also use that extension date to file your Macedonia refund request. End of my report.
Thank you. Chief Ripley?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to apologize for my address tonight. Just getting back from a business trip looking at our engine, so, but go Knights. I'm an alumni from a little earlier than the mayor. That's as far as I will go.
Different building.
Same building. Late Monday night, C shift, which is Captain Chesnick's shift, they received a call for twins being born at home with a midwife present. One of the babies was not doing well. The midwife delivered the second. The first one was delivered when they got there. They wound up transporting all 3 patients to Akron area hospitals, and we heard today that all 3 are doing very well. So I suspect you guys might hear about that a little bit more in the future, but that's all I have right now. When I was up in Pierce, I got some very interesting information. Back in January, we ordered that engine, and we did it early because of supply chain issues. We did it early because of a price increase. Well, you may have heard Mr. Veras at our last meeting talked about the interest rate we paid to prepay for that truck was 3% less than what we're paying for the.
Yeah, 3%
for
less, yeah.
the ones we did today. Since we ordered our truck, Pierce Manufacturing, including a price increase that is coming on Tuesday, 17%. So if we would have waited, because this truck is actually a 23 capital item, it would have potentially raised our cost $135,000. So that was huge. Plus the prepay option we did, they paid us 3% of the contract price. They've now lowered that to 2%. Not to mention, our truck is scheduled to be completed in July. I suspect it'll be August. The lead time now is 32 months. So all that stuff is being extended out, so some pretty crazy stuff. But the fact that we were able to save all that money, kudos to John, kudos for council. For agreeing to pay early, because that's all big money, almost paid for the ambulance. And also I have to remind you,
Ambulance.
The ambulance.
it's only because I was talking to you, John. Language you understand.
Okay.
Sunday, November 6th at 2 a.m., we turn our clocks back, and that also means you replace, in the morning, you don't have to do it at 2 in the morning, replace the battery in your smoke detector. We also always get phone calls from people who can't find it. Most of those they sell now have internal batteries that are good for 10 years, and you don't have to replace them. But test them. You should be testing them monthly anyway. So, and that's end of report, Mayor. And go Knights.
Thank you, alumni. Chief Golden.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, hold on.
Wait,
One
hold on a
second.
minute.
Just a quick question for Chief Ripley. Have you had any further communication with the North Pole on dates or anything?
Yes, that should be coming out soon.
Okay.
In fact, I think
you.
it's already out, or should be.
Oh,
I think it was in the last message.
Soon's a good enough answer.
Sounds good.
Thank you again, Nordonia alumni. Appreciate you. Chief Golden.
Thank you, Mayor. Still working with the schools on school safety. Today I was at Rushwood with Principal Jackie O'Mara. Patrolman Nichols stopped up, as did Sergeant Ken Wolf, and we assisted the staff on some things to do in case of emergency. So we handled that. Week after next, I will be at Northfield. So we're continuing focusing on safety within the schools. Lots of support from Dr. Clark and his entire staff, so very easy to work with his team. So that's primarily what I've been up to.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodick.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items. The permit was issued today for the Wave Car Wash, so we'll see some activity behind KFC and that hotel very soon. Secondly, if anybody's been up and down East Aurora Road in the dark, you may have noticed the blue glow coming from IHOP. The owner installed blue downlighting, which was in conflict of our planning commission, so he's been ordered to remove that. I do anticipate that he's going to come back to the planning commission and request that, but in case you have heard from any of your constituents about the radiation appearance from that building, you know what it's about. That's all I have.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Cheater.
Updates. There's been multiple major Microsoft server updates come down, and as well as a roll-up update for Windows 10 and Windows 11. So I've been working on those, as well as some tweaks on the new website. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. Thanks, Mayor. End of report.
And thank you, I think you were thanked in the last meeting, but I wasn't present for that, but thank you for the website. If you guys haven't been to our website, macedonia.oh.us, a whole lot better than it used to be, and check it out. There's a lot of good stuff on there, and there's more to come on that. We're going to continue to update that and get better with it, so be patient with us. But thank you, Kyle, for all the work you put in that. And I know President Brandt had some hands in that too, so thank you both of you for that.
Mostly
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Director Gaddetti.
I have no report, sir.
Well, thank you, Alumni Gaddetti.
That's another one.
And thank you, Alumni Tully and Alumni Brandt.
The building was built before I got there, I just want you to know.
Any unfinished business? Any new business?
I have a couple things real quick. One, I'd like to thank every team that plays in the fall. Soccer, volleyball, cross-country, besides the football team, and like to also recognize the girls' golf team. For the first time ever, golf didn't exist when I went to the school. And I'm not sure when it started
In
at
the
Northonia.
90s it started.
But the girls' golf team, for the first time ever, went to the state tournament. And that is amazing. I can't hit a ball over a water trap for the life of me. And to their coach, Greg Harris, but I don't know how to say her name correctly, Lanza Golubinski, Macy Taylor, Brooke Barnes, Christine Nagy, who came in 34th, and Julia Gulis, who came in 18th. The team came in 11th overall. And they got to play at the beautiful Ohio State golf course. So congratulations to all of them. And then my only other thing is, two things. If there's an emergency vehicle with their lights on, coming behind you or coming towards you, you are to pull over. The other day, people kept going down 82 like there was nobody there. Just remember, someday there could be you in the back of that ambulance, and you need to get somewhere quickly. You don't want to have to drive around vehicles. And he always says, don't look at your phone. There was a new thing that came out about new phones, and everybody's excited about all the electronics, but you forget that you have turn signals on your cars. Please use your turn signals. And a red light means stop. Thank you.
Is that what that little lever's for?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it goes click, 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 just to be annoying.
And just to be clear, isn't the saying, go right for sirens and lights? So always remember that, go right for sirens and lights. And I did notice that too.
Mayor, I might add that now on all fire apparatus being made, there's a HAZ system that communicates with all of the apps on the smartphones and will advise these drivers that there's an emergency vehicle approaching from whichever direction. Once we stop, it recognizes the vehicle has stopped, and it will say there's an emergency scene ahead. That's gonna be on our new engine. I don't know how much it costs yet, but we could add it to all of our emergency vehicles. I just have to find out cost and things of that nature, so. Technology also can make the road safer.
That is awesome, thank you. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.